So you want hate mail from the entire furry community. Well, it's a D&D video in which I shit on a snake that hasn't been touched in 4 years. No, that other snake. No, that other snake. And hey, maybe after this you'll make a snake of your own. Or, hear me out, you subscribe and ring that bell. So in 2 weeks when I put out a new video, you don't miss out. But here's the content. So, you want your DM to actively try to kill you, or maybe you just want to act all edgy and emotionless for 5 sessions, you know, before it gets too hard, so you start to show emotions for the first time, and eventually you fall in love with one of the other party members, but this time, you didn't want to be a lizard folk. So, you chose to be a Yuan-Ti. Wizards of the Coast thinks it's fun, or at the very least, they think it's creative. It is, and no matter how well you roleplay it, you can never truly be how the creature is supposed to behave, at least according to the lore. That's stupid. Let's take the anime Overlord. Their eventual discussion on cannibalism, which of course is inevitable when you're talking about any reptilian person, is amazing. It is not something that is normal in their society, but a taboo that is broken in order to survive. But I hear you say,
"Oh, Cloud Giant, how you grace me with your knowledge. But don't all reptilians like to lie and eat people?"
No, you're racist. Leave my video. The harsh reality and consequences of having to eat a family member in order to survive has a lot more depth to it than just an emotionless snake that's going to try to eat the halfling during a long rest. Of course, the emotionless snake is going to see a bite-sized little goober and think, "Oh yeah, I found a snack, and this one's fresh." But, you know, with no excitement, because it doesn't mean anything to it, because, you know, it's emotionless. That's what I'm talking about. It just wants to succeed, and succeed with as little difficulty as possible. Everything wants to. You, me, the birds, the bees, everything. We all want to win on a base level, but emotions are what make us do what makes no sense. Or maybe it's just that I'm a DM and I'm coming up with a narrative-focused reason why I think Yuan-Ti are insane in every aspect, and that bothers me how unplayable they are because of it. I want to play a snake person, you know? Like, that's a fucking cool ass shit, you know? I'm gonna be like, it's my rendition of a snake. I hope you enjoyed it. That boring version of the lusty Argonian's great-great-grandchild mixed with some back-alley human gigolo has poison immunity, innate spellcasting, and advantage on spell save or otherwise magical effect. But enough of my griping and onto the pure-blood Yuan-Ti. Purebloods get a +2 to charisma and a +1 to intelligence, as well as have a medium size and a base walking speed of 30 feet. In addition to walks, they like gazing at their fancy
Yuan-Ti brood guards.
And of course, a good old snake cult meeting where you eat people and bathe yourself in their blood. And of course, you can never get enough of
snakes.
If you can take one thing away from this video, it's that the Yuan-Ti can never get enough of snakes. Fundamentally, they are a snake. You can't get more snake than that. Now, alignment. This is where you get a little tricky. Rules as written, Yuan-Ti are really evil. And Volos makes it clear the nicest a Yuan-Ti of any variety will get is true neutral. They are and have been for generations devoid of emotion and see others as tools to manipulate. They care little for law or chaos and are typically neutral evil. This isn't a nature versus nurture thing. Their ancestors literally sold their entire lineage's emotions in order to become snake people. Do talk to your DM before making any kind of Yuan-Ti character. They might even be fine with you fudging the alignment and being neutral or maybe even neutral good. If your DM is already allowing you to play a Yuan-Ti, they either want you to be evil or really hoping you're not going to try to kill and start a fight with literally anything that isn't a snake. Like, what, did you expect everything to be a snake? No, we're not playing snakes and ladders here. Playing Dungeons and Dragons. Ain't no snakes in that, bro. Fuck's wrong with you, man? This might be a good idea, especially with the Yuan-Ti's written history, as it does not lend well to just taking a standard pre-written background. Unless there is an established Yuan-Ti cult or underground city, there isn't a good reason why a Yuan-Ti, even a pure-blood Yuan-Ti, would join an adventuring party. Maybe your character has lived their entire life for the cause of a snake cult, but then failed infiltration into the local government, and thusly has been excommunicated. This leaves your not-so-lusty, nor, at this point, not-so-Argonian to fend for themselves. They could become a criminal, or maybe they join the military. Either of these could be in order to maintain their need to sacrifice to their god, who they still worship. as religion is really important to these guys. They have over 15 different snake gods, most being demons. As a Yuan-Ti, you can't be afraid of the outcome of not sacrificing to your god. Even something emotionless knows the consequences of their action or lack of actions. If you want to add a little flair but stay within the realm of rules as written, be a cannibal. But instead of just not caring about where your food comes from, maybe your god demands human flesh and you're constantly having to make sacrifices to the point where you're taking points of exhaustion in order to hunt people at night. Then you become the serial killer the party is hunting for during the day. Talking rules as written, a lot of the race options from Volos can be improved with just some minor homebrewing. To me, Volos really feels like it's telling you to adjust what is given to you in order to meet your needs. Take the Kenku. This thing is just asking to not be played as they're telling you to play it. There's literally a blurb that says, constant attempts to mimic noises can come across as confusing or irritating rather than entertaining. You can just as easily describe the sounds your character makes and what they mean. I think this blurb is really important to all the race options offered in Volos, but especially the purebloods. The Yuan-Ti are described as emotionless, something that if mimicked properly would destroy most games, let alone is just not possible. There's also a chart for these slithering bite boys that describes the variety among Yuan-Ti and how it doesn't end with their physical characteristics. Some of them are born with powers that are unusual or even unique among their kind. Some of these abilities say that they can only be used by non-pureblood Yuan-Ti. Also, this tool does appear to be more for a DM than a player looking for options. But it is some good food for thought. They go as follows. Chameleon skin. The Yuan-Ti has advantage on dexterity stealth checks made to hide. Shape changer. The Yuan-Ti can use its action to polymorph into a medium poisonous snake, or into a large constrictor snake, or back into its original form. Its statistics are the same in each form, except for the size change noted, and any equipment it is wearing or carrying isn't transformed. It also doesn't change form if it dies. Shed skin, once a day. The Yuan-Ti can shed its skin as a bonus action to free itself from a grapple, shackles, or other restraints. If the Yuan-Ti spends 1 minute eating its shed skin, it regains hit points equal to half its hit point maximum. If you didn't want to play a Yuan-Ti already, this is where you will. They have dark vision, poison immunity, innate spellcasting of poison spray, and animal friendship with snakes, as well as advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. To top it all off, they know Common, Abyssal, and Draconic innately. Oh, sorry. Starting at 3rd level, you also get to cast Suggestion once per long rest, Charisma being your spellcasting ability. That's a lot of racial abilities. Some would say way more than any other playable race. So I don't blame any DM that tells a player that if they want to play a Yuan-Ti, they can't have all of those abilities. Those do make purebloods into great sorcerers or warlocks though, especially if you're trying to stay in the same vibe as the written history of Volos. But personally, I think a Yuan-Ti bard who is trying to become so renowned that they eventually get to play before the land's ruler sounds interesting. You could really make a full level 1 to 10 campaign with just the info from Volos about Yuan-Ti society and their massive amount of snake gods. A campaign at the fall of their empire right when the dragons and Wait, you mean to tell me the humans that the Yuan-Ti once were had a society close enough to a civilization that had Naga in it, but those Naga weren't cool with what the Yuan-Ti were doing? The Yuan-Ti, who aren't even yet Yuan-Ti, are not cool enough to become what, by all physical examination, is just a Naga, or at the very least has only a part of a Naga. It just feels really odd that it explicitly says their society was attacked by Naga, in part leading to the downfall of their entire empire, but never again in the entire rest of the book are Naga even mentioned again, nor their relationship with the Yuan-Ti. Maybe in some obscure Dragon magazine article from 2006 they go into details of the great Yuan-Ti Naga wars and why all reptilians in D&D are evil, but I couldn't find it. The best I could find is from the Forgotten Realms fandom page that says that when the Yuan-Ti were just starting to experiment with making themselves into the snake boys we know and love, they also created Naga, and through a similar but different process, lizard folk? I'm not looking forward to the Yuan-Ti part 2 video where I go into if a lizard folk and a Yuan-Ti could have babies. The additional abilities from before would make great feats, and I think the shed skin ability would be really cool to give the players. The roleplay of having someone have to act out as they shed their skin in battle to escape a grapple, then after the battle find the bloodied skin and just start munching on it. It's also a really powerful ability, so maybe it's more of a mid to late game feat. Like, they didn't know their species shed, but now that it started, it won't stop. Oh, I guess that could be like a plot hook if there was a negative aspect of it that made it more like a curse than just some nice feat the DM gave the player. I would just like to point out Volo's Guide is the most useful yet useless book that has ever been published. It has validated more race options for 5th edition than any other book, but most of them are just bad and need homebrewing to not feel under, or especially in this case, overpowered. Also, the Orc, Goblin, Bugbear, Hobgoblin, and Triton player stats have been changed since their release because they were bad and it didn't make any sense. I'm looking at you, Triton, living at the bottom of the ocean without dark vision. I'm glad that you have come up with such technology to do this. Well, this has been my first YouTube video, so I hope you were able to get something out of this, or were at least entertained. Leave a dislike down below if you didn't, and leave a like if you did. I'm thinking of doing a few more of these rambling guides to scaled individuals. So let me know down in the comments if you're interested in more similar videos. Don't want to spoil the next one, but that's it. Here's some tunes to play you out.